And it looks like we are live. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're at on the flat earth. Just the audio. Is this going to be, how confusing is this going to be trying to where we're at? Where are we at? I certainly hope. Okay. Hi. Okay. Yep. Again, still testing, figuring this thing out. I'm glad I'm the only one here. Because at a certain point, like, hey, when you're getting used to this, when it's got to be go time, or it's never going to happen. And wow, it would be so easy just to continue to be confused with. All right, I'm just going to run with it. Let's see. Again, good evening, good morning, wherever you're at. It is the 28 August, 29 August in Rome, 29 August in the. No, leave me alone. What the? I'm back and forth between Safari and Firefox. I just want to see what my channel is looks like at the moment. Get to the audio to mute it. Yeah, it's certainly been interesting last couple of days. I hope if you've been able to. Johnny's channel, Odyssey channel. We had a fantastic brief yesterday. There was a brief today. Caught some of it. Yeah, strange. I don't know if I'm just going to get mesmerized by feeling like I'm being lost in mirror within mirror within mirror, within cells interlinked, within cells interlinked, within cells interlinked. What the fuck? Okay. I'm just preparing essentially for. I'll probably talk on this tomorrow. Essentially, the feast, the beheading of John the Baptist, and of course, just brilliant. The Wikipedia page. So the beheading of, nice. Come on, the beginning of Jean the Baptist, also known as the Decollation of Saint John the Baptist, or the beheading of the Forerunner, is a biblical event commemorated as a holy day by various Christian churches. According to the New Testament, Herod Antipas, ruler of Galilee under the Roman Empire, had imprisoned John the Baptist because he had publicly reproved Herod for divorcing his first wife and unlawfully taking his sister-in-law or his brother's wife as his second wife, Herodias. He then ordered him to be killed by beheading. Now, skipping down, here's so remember, this is for 29 August. No, let's look the feast day portion of the Vati page. The liturgical commemoration of the beheading of Saint John the Baptist is almost as old as the commemorating of his commemorating his birth, which would be the 24th of June, which is one of the oldest feasts, if not the oldest, introduced into both Eastern and Western liturgies to honor a saint. The Roman Catholic Church celebrates the feast, so the beheading feast, the beheading of John the Baptist feast on 29 August, as does the Lutheran Church, who's now supposedly, as Kenneth Copeland would say back, or Tony Palmer, Kenneth Copeland and Pope Francis the protest is over. Protest is over. Many other churches of the Anglican Communion do so as well, including the Church of England. Church of England, member, established 3 November 1534. The same year, the first Ignatius and the first seven, or Ignatius and his 6 companions at the time, pledged their allegiance to the Queen of Heaven on her feast day, the Feast of the Assumption, 15 August 1534. 1534, the same year that Jacques Cartier made his first voyage to what would become Canada, kidnapped 2 boys after erecting on 24 July 1534, erecting a 30-foot cross, provoking a confrontation with the local indigenous. Local indigenous, is that redundant or what? Kidnapping 2, whatever their ages were, and they may have been the 2 sons of the chief of that particular people group, brought them to France, I believe, and presented them before Francis I, who had financed Cartier's first, I think all 3, potentially, I think there was a 4th voyage in there, don't quote me on that. And then Cartier drops off the flat earth after I believe the 4th voyage. But nonetheless, all these events happening in 1534 after Martin Luther had printed both the Old and New Testament. So, precipitating event, the Old and New Testament, the scriptures, which were for over 1,000 years hidden, kept away under lock and key by Rome from the common person, thus the Dark Ages, and part of what Martin Luther had done is, hand in hand with the printing press. And what a beautiful, of course, that is that tongue in cheek, the beauty that truth always finds a way, just like life and love. These things seem I'm just trying to think of the best word possible. You call it attrition? Do you call it? Wow. Life and love and the word, it found a way. And so we have the John Wycliffe event. So we have, I believe that's 14th century. We have Jan Hus, 15th century, 16th century, Martin Luther. And I think in part Rome was preparing for what was to come during the 16th century, and then still had her ass handed to her when Luther printed the Old and New Testament in 1534. And that certainly started something, because it ignited what would be called the Counter-Reformation, Ignatius and the first 6. And Ignatius presenting himself before Paul III. I think we may have a 1537 date. We do have a 1539 date of Ignatius presenting the formula. And then, of course, with the date we're given, September 3rd, 3 September 1539, is that moment where Paul III exclaims, "This is the finger stroke of God." And then, of course, Paul III in 1540, September 27, 1540, Militante Ecclesia, Regimini Militante Ecclesia, papal bull, essentially declaring war. What's that saying? I know I've first heard it from Eric 777. I think a couple years ago now. I can't think of the source of the quote, but it has to do with the Jesuit order is like a naked sword with its hilt in Rome and its blade pointed everywhere. That's a paraphrase, but it brilliantly sums up who and what the Jesuit order, the Society of Jesus, is. All right, back to reading. Including the Church of England, yeah. So that got the so remember established 1534, November 3rd. Through some, though some designate it a commemoration rather than a feast day. The Eastern Orthodox and Byzantine Catholic churches also celebrate this feast on 29 August. My mouth is running too fast for my mind. This date in the Julian calendar, used by the Russian, Macedonian, Serbian, and Ethiopian Orthodox churches, corresponds in the 21st century to September 11. We've covered this, but it's always a good refresher because these details easily get forgotten because the information highway, the soup that what we have to sift through, it's easy to forget these details. And so Julian calendar, 29 August, in the Gregorian is September 11. Got a connection here. Specifically, if 11 September is Jesus of Nazareth's legitimate birthday, 3 BC, in the Gregorian calendar. The day is always observed with strict fasting, and in some churches, the pious will not eat food from a flat plate, use a knife, or eat round food on this day. Whatever that means. All food is round in some shape or form. Let's see. The Armenian Apostolic Church commemorates, might as well finish this, declaration of St. John on the Saturday of Easter week. Yeah, well, I guess they got it right? While the Syriac Orthodox, Indian Orthodox, and Syro-Malankara Catholic churches commemorate his death on 7 January. I wonder if there's a type of connection between then 6 January, which is why the so-called insurrection took place on January 6, 2021. Not necessarily getting into this, but of course, skipping down related feasts. First and second finding of the head of John the Baptist. So apparently, John's head went missing, found first and a second time. And then we have the skipping down, the third finding of the head. Come on. The third finding of the head of John the Baptist is celebrated or observed 25th of May. The irony back to the George Floyd, Derek meaning hangman, Derek Chauvin, Derek the hangman, chauvinist, Chauvin, or Calvin, how about that? Calvin, knelt on the neck. George Floyd had a daughter named Gianna. Like Kobe Bryant had a daughter named Gianna, the feminine form of John or Johann. All right. While I'm thinking of it, I will skip to. Hey, Eric. Thank you for. Hopefully, I'm not just talking. Well, not talking to myself, but I guess what I look at, you're going to be looking at. That's what I'm assuming. Hopefully, that's true. Hopefully, you can hear me, and I'll just continue on because this is going to just get weird again. Mirror within, cells interlinked within cells interlinked. So 29 August. We have a significant. Where do I want to look at? August. Let's see. We have our favorite Pope. Remember, and this is in part where I think, again, James. Okay, let's just briefly look at this. James Francis Cameron. So August 16. Okay, here's our. Okay, fuck. James Francis Cameron. Pardon my. Here's our. I didn't realize this, but it's again. As soon as I recognize August 16th, that we have a Lorenzo Ricci date connection to the birthday of James. Why'd I call him John? James Francis Cameron, Canadian filmmaker. Because how about this? When did I cover? It may have been last time. 16 August being I believe it was 1773. Lorenzo Ricci's alleged the ending of his the term of his generalate. Just within approximately 3 weeks after the engineered suppression of the Society of Jesus. So 1773, 21 July, 3 weeks later, Ricci's generalate supposedly ended in 1773. And as I pointed out before, we have sources that state that a person of, I think it was actually Saucy cites Manly Palmer Hall, another Canadian, who probably has some interesting dates as well. But Hall had, I can't remember if it was citation itself, but had made reference to a particular figure. And Saucy pointed out that particular figure was, in fact, 18th Jesuit Superior General Lawrence Ricci, present for the signing of the Declaration of Independence. What Saucy doesn't tell you was that the signing took place on Lorenzo Ricci's 73rd birthday. So August 2nd, 1773. You can verify this easily. Find your favorite government website. No. Find by using your favorite search engine, usually the one that's has the same birthday as the Jesuit order, September 27. You could punch in the keywords and what will come up, and as well as on U.S. government websites will tell you that the signing took place 2nd August, 1776. Pardon if I said 1773. Anyway, Ricci was present for the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, August 2nd. Okay. Back to Pius. So Pius the 6th. So sharing the same birthday as current Canadian Prime Minister, 25th December. Merry Christmas. Merry Xmas. Merry X-Men Ass. So 25 September 1717 to 29 August 1799. Remember, Pius the 6th was arrested. So under Napoleon, we have a General Berthier. I don't have all the names, but we have General Berthier arresting Pius the 6th. Whether it was dragging him, whether tearing off his robe, his crown, his rings. But connecting this back to Francis Cameron, because Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Judgment. Which also had 9/11 symbolism in it. I've covered portions of this. You can find information like this as well, but I also did cover it in one of my blog posts, which is still kind of active. It's still there. I haven't posted anything recent to it. Interestingly enough, July 3rd, there's Frederick Tupper Saucy's 3rd birthday. So release ahead July 1st. I guess this would be the world premiere, and then in the United States, the wide release in the United States, 3 July 1991. And remember, there's a significant, I don't know if it actually acknowledges it in the wiki page, but Schwarzenegger's character, so the T-800, speaks about the event where Skynet comes online at August at 2:14 in the, I don't know if it was afternoon or morning, but the fact that we're given a time, which is, if to me, again, when you, sometimes even times when given are clocks, you're shown clocks, it can also reference a date. Of course, context is key. 2:14, we have February 14, and in February we have the arresting of Pius VI. Why is this significant? Well, remember, within the film, we also get the August 29th, 1997 date. And I presented before that 1997 is actually an anagram for 1799. And because, again, we're given the date that the papacy received its revelatory seeming head wound, all this within the parentheses of the suppression of the Jesuit order within those 41 years from 1773 to 1814. So the Jesuit order literally engineered the disappearance of not only the little horn power of Daniel in Revelation, but in part to support Jesuit praetorism and Jesuit futurism, disappearing Rome out of the scriptures, so that what the so-called, what we would call, refer to as the reformers, whom they pointed to, the seat of the papacy, making that argument null and void for the years to come. And which is why today, what's this great expectation of what, not only just a third temple in Jerusalem on the so-called Temple Mount. Remember, is it where the Roman fortress at Antonia? Is that actually the place where there is this expectation of where the third temple is going to be? But this the preparation, there's so many details. There's certain types of heifers and the accoutrements that go along with that for essentially for the reappearance and the reenactment of the old sacrificial system, which was abolished essentially literally by Yahweh, or if you please, Yahuwah, back in 70 AD by military Rome. Because, well, men love religion, men love their own acts of being able to justify their own works, while ignoring not just a willful there's the willful ignorance part of it, but also denying that the Messiah arrived on scene, declared himself, showed himself, fulfilling the scriptures, crucified at Golgotha, in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights, as per the sign of Jonah. Which, what did Jesus say? Anyway, was crucified at Passover, in the ground for the feast of unleavened bread, raised on first fruits. So Jesus, life, death, resurrection, fulfilling certain feasts, and not the feast of the Jews, we know this, but the feast of Yahweh. So in part, September 11, and this is bringing it full circle. September 11 being if it's the legitimate birthday of Jesus of Nazareth, and if it's true, as Michael Heiser proved, the late Michael Heiser, we know, being Jesuit trained through the so-called Public University of Pennsylvania, but potentially an ordained Jesuit himself, but gave us the date, September 11th, 3 BC, not only the Gregorian date, but also in the Hebrew calendar being Tishri 1, the Feast of Trumpets. And then corresponding that to Revelation 12, which gives us a particular stellar alignment, while acknowledging that John did not also include a few other items in the sky, like the fact that Regulus, the king star, and Jupiter, the king planet, were in conjunction, creating the actual star, what the Magi would have seen, and what's declared in the scriptures as this is what brought the Magi, looking for the little Son of God. What a beautiful, magical, even, if you will, unfolding of events in the stars, because who is the king of creation? And I know that some would argue, well, that's not possible, or that's not true, or that's just messing around. Well, remember, who owns this place? Who actually owns this place? The satanic parasitic system, the satanic parasitic small L Lord, or is there another owner, and is he going to be returning, and is he going to make things right? What I've stated before many times in a lot of my work, the fact that story upon story upon story, in cinema in particular, also the novels and so on, with this story of an ideal redeemer, that's that this particular arc, when used, it makes a remarkable story, and it's a formula which seems to work. And stories that don't apply this arc usually fail. But the story of the ideal redeemer is the oldest story. It is the first story, and it's a story that is the basis of everything that's come after. And it's literally the Son of God appearing on scene. And just remember that the 10 names. And I know that Chuck Missler, even saying the name, may bring up a bad taste in some of our mouths because of what he taught. Nonetheless, the source, Genesis, I'd never heard this until he had said, I know, yes, he's gone. He's no longer with us either. But remember, the 10 names, Genesis 5, from Adam to Noah, leave a very clear message. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down, teaching that his death shall bring the despairing comfort and rest. And I believe in part, Joseph, if you work with story, whether in writing or with the visual arts, remember Joseph Campbell. It's funny. I've had his book for over a decade. The Hero with 1,000 Faces. It's still brand new on my bookshelf. I've yet to crack it, go through it, but without even. I know that Campbell was a devout Roman Catholic. I don't know if there was a unique conversion in his life, but I believe in part, whether he knew it or not, that all the essentially the Hero with 1,000 Faces is rooted in Jesus of Nazareth, who is Christ, the Messiah, and that message, his literal arc being found in Genesis 5 within the names of the first 10 patriarchs. Anyway, so 29, but back to this idea, though, the fact that you have a beheading that's also the same day, of course, flipping back and forth between calendars, but it also happens to be the legitimate birthday of Jesus of Nazareth. So August 29 is September 11. And not only that, though, but connecting this to this significant event in history, and the fact that some of our parents, some of our grandparents, if it's true that the head wound was healed in February, what was it, February 12th? Approximately around February 1929, the Lateran Treaty. If that is true, that the head wound was healed, then certainly we are living in remarkable times. And also pointing this too. So Pius the condemned French Revolution. I think we can throw the I don't have one, but we can throw the bushel flag on that. Condemned the French Revolution and the suppression of the Gallican Church. French troops commanded by Napoleon Bonaparte. So remember, now we're coming back into an age of ideas, specifically that surrounding Napoleon Bonaparte. Remember, Bonaparte being born and raised during Lorenzo Ricci's generalate. When did Ricci become general? 1758. and I want to say May 21st is the given date that Ricci began as generalate. So 21 May 1758, we have the suppression of the Jesuit order from France in 1764. They went to Corsica, I believe, selected the Bonaparte family. There's two significant names that I'm, of course, off the cuff at the moment. Is it Appy Joseph Sias? There's two, I don't want to start guessing, but Bonaparte wasn't born until 1769. And look at his, and the fact that he also 15 August 1769. So the feast of the Assumption of Mary. So we have another the Jesuit order connection, but also the 5th of May 1821. The 5th of May, I want to say, is we have a Jesuit general date connection as well. So 7th Jesuit Superior General Vincenzo Carafa, his birthday, 5th of May 1585. And while we're speaking of birthday death dates, just consider. Let's consider this, and I'll add this. I'll look this up, check the chat, and then close. Sorry, I wanted to hit certain points before tomorrow. Tomorrow being a significant day, 29 August. But the fact that we have Donald Johann Trump, June 14, 1946, now 77 years. But that June 14th, interesting day, because we have a particular architect, Pierre Charles, the child, l'enfant. Look at this. As a death day, June 14, 1825. Trump's birthday is l'enfant's death day anniversary. And Pierre Charles is the architect of Washington, D.C., covered with brilliant detail in Frederick Tupper Saucy III, Jesuit Freemasons, rulers of evil, useful knowledge about governing bodies. But let's just add a point to that. We have Charles L'Enfant's birthday, August 2nd, 1754. Remember, August 2nd, 170. I believe it was 1703. Can I spell Lawrence Ritchie? And then, of course, which I'd now and have this has been my position for what, I don't know, maybe last 2 or so years since actually looking into this. Fascinating character, absolutely. 2nd August 1703. So the fact through dates, Donald John Trump is not only connected to the architect of Washington, D.C., but also the architect of the United States of America. That's Donald Trump, educated by the Jesuits, trained by the Jesuits at Fordham for 2 years before being sent to the so-called Public University of Pennsylvania through the Wharton School of Business. What else have I got? There's other. No, I'll leave it at that. I will check the chat. Hey, Lauren. James Cameron is also heavily invested in New Zealand as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Cameron, off the top of my head, I can't remember how he was. Well, remember James Francis. I can't remember if I think there is a Roman Catholic connection. I find your streams very informative. Well, I'm glad. Whether it's a brain dump, whether it's just these are certainly fascinating times, and if you have the ability, just like whatever this is, okay, information's out there. Hopefully I don't even think I like. How's that for? I don't even know if I would listen to myself. I can't actually. I don't like listening to my own stuff. But that's am I going to let that stop me from? Okay, we're given gifts and talents for a reason, and to bury them is well, we know from the scriptures not a good not a good thing. And imagine bearing what you're given, and then that, okay, you're not going to use it. I'm going to give what I tried giving to you to somebody else. Somebody's going to do something with it. That's not how's that for a challenge? So whether Eric it's starting whether it's a blog, whatever. Um, anyway, just again wanted to acknowledge we're looking at. Man, I think even today, you know what? There's stuff that's going on obviously every day. But again, the point I just wanted to point towards tomorrow we got a significant day. So we had the anniversary date of the so-called head wound with Pius VI's death in exile. Yes, he was arrested in 1798, fulfilling the 1260-day year prophecy in scriptures, or the 3.5 year, depending on what scripture we're going to be using. But and then also to the beheading of John the Baptist, and then flipping from Julian to Gregorian calendars, August 29th is also September 11th. So not only we have the beheading date, which is why I also wanted to bring up Last Blood, because so Rambo, Last Blood, and Cap in France, I know in the United States got its wide release September 20th, 2019, but in France, the release date was September 25th, 2019. But remember, in this film, we have not only a beheading, but also a crucifixion. Lots of fascinating, wonderful symbolism. Again, the screenplay by, in parts, Stallone himself. They know exactly what they're doing. And we know, remember, Stallone sharing a birthday, I believe, with George, so president number 43, George W. or Walker Bush. But 6th July being the anniversary date of the 1415 burning of John Hus. And then we know last year in 2022, we have the raising of the Georgia Guidestones, which, like Frederick Tupper Saucy III's gravestone, has a misspelling. And of course, the so-called 10 Commandments that were listed had, what was it, number 1, about keeping the world population within actually quite a very small number. All right, let's well, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that, because let's see, New Zealand is also heavily Roman Catholic as well, but portrays itself as Christian nation. Well, hey, pick your country. Pick your country. That could be said. What country? Okay, yes, that could be argued, because of course, as you go whether to the east, I can't even think of. At the same time, what country has not been infiltrated by the Jesuit order? My position right now is that the Jesuit order not only went to India, but also China, in order to literally reestablish the histories of each country. But that's other topics another time. So thank you again, Lauren. Amazing you put all this together. As long as I'm just not rambling and it's nonsensical, and if the dots are clearly connected, that's ultimately my goal. Because certainly there's a lot of information, and even just a little while ago, I was briefly listening to Zach Hubbard's Geometry Effect 25 channel, and just seeing what he was saying, and certainly it could there can be so much information. It's like literally getting lost in the weeds. A person's eyes can glaze over, and it's what's the point of all this? Nonetheless, it's still important to understand. Okay, who is our enemy? Is it many sources will say, oh, it's a globalist. Oh, it's the I pick your poison. There's a flavor for everybody. But is it true? And because with names, places, and dates, this is why it's important. Because what consistently comes up, and I love the beautiful analogy from the captain, from Johnny. The head of the Hydra that will not grow back, the head that we are to go for, and that has showed up. So it's so consistent, just as the scriptures say, is Rome, the Vatican, the Roman Catholic system, the whore of Babylon, the great harlot drunk on the blood of the saints. And the scriptures do tell us that the beast she rides will turn on her, tear her flesh, and burn her with fire. And we are in part, somehow, whether to witness it or to somehow be instrumental in having, not passively, but actively having some kind of hand in that. And if how about this? The fact that in Revelation as well, I can't think of the verse off the top of my head. What comes out of Jesus's mouth? A sword. Is the act of speaking? I know I brought this point up before, not maybe within a brief, but is a little act of speaking now, because of how the mass suppression that has taken place, is that our form of violence, our form of pushing back, just the act of speaking. And at some point, will many, if not most, become too weak, too sick to even resist. But remember, there's our body, but there's our mind, there's our soul. And that leads to the question of, where's your soul? How is your soul? Do you know you have a soul? Do you know who made you? And the answer, how about this? My own birthday, being born again, July 21st, 1997, the anniversary date of the suppression of the Jesuit order. I've far too many, so which is in part, again, why I have an intimate connection with certain names, places, and dates. Having stated before, both my late father, and myself, we have dates connecting us to different Jesuit superior generals, significant dates within our lives that are, the list can go on. Anyway, this is your Hawkeye, and asshole Hawkeye, beloved Hawkeye, depending on what I am to you. Thank you. Hey, it looks like there's 5 watching. One of them's me, so there's an extra 4. I really appreciate it. Whatever country, whatever time zone on the flat Earth. Hey, thank you for being here. All right, it's almost midnight. Time to get our asses to sleep or awake. I guess I don't want to guess who might be across the pond, but I can't remember, Lorna. If you're across the pond, sorry, bro. Anyway, bless you all. Peace and love. Thank you very much. And literally, with hand over my heart, I really appreciate you just being here. And yeah, you be inspired somehow and do the same. Whatever you're being called to, it's go for it. All right. And this is your Hawkeye. Bye for now.